Hello, welcome everyone to the Astro Priestesses Summit 2025 and beyond, where we are going to be talking about the astrology of these upcoming years with courage, creativity, and curiosity as well. And today we have Jocelyn Starfeather, that she is a visibility and thought leadership coach for visionary entrepreneurs, spiritual alchemist, astrologer, and the founder of The Sacred Planet, and also the mentor who taught me how to create summits. So this summit is possible because of her. So I'm always really appreciating that, and it really changed my life in so many ways. So it's a pleasure to have you here talking about a really big cycle that is going to really be the framework for the whole summit. And this topic is why 2025, 2026, and 2027 are a pivotal turning point in the 26,000 year great cycle. So it's a
Yes.
big one.
A very exciting topic. Yes. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for the beautiful introduction, Mar. And it is just a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. And thank you for all of this that you and your co-organizers are putting together. It's just so amazing.
Yes, yes. I'm always innovating, right? Like everything that I learned from
Yes.
you is like now we're going to do a co-creation, the four of us. So is being a journey and is bringing also more the Aquarian age of like collective creations and co-working and things like that.
Right.
So yeah, like why is this cycle so important? And how can we grasp what it means? Because it's really complex sometimes to think in so like so long.
So vast. 26,000 years. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have some slides that I can share because I find that when we're talking about these big, vast topics, it is so helpful to see an illustration of it. So I will share my screen
Yes.
and dive right in. And I have just a little bit at the beginning, bringing it in on a personal level, and then we zoom way out, and then we'll zoom back in a little bit and talk about just these years. So we'll go on a whole journey here, and I hope that everyone listening will love it. Um, so these years are this really pivotal turning point in this great 26,000 year great cosmic cycle that the ancient people recognized. And it's just so fascinating because all of the major civilizations that we know of, the Egyptians, the Sumerians, the Incans, the Mayans, the Aztecs, everybody around the world knew about these 26,000 year cycles. They knew about these really, really vast spans of time, which is incredible because they were observing the stars, the fixed stars in the sky, moving by 1 degree every 72 years. So they were tracking this with tremendous accuracy. They were documenting it over many, many, many multiple generations to come up with the great year calendars and the long count calendars that we see from these civilizations all around the world. So we'll look at that, and it's so powerful to consider it. Now, to look at this just on a little bit of a personal note, first of all, as we begin, I love this quote from Robert Edward Grant. He said, "Destiny is the free will of the higher self." And I think it's so important whenever we talk about astrology to really begin from this viewpoint of the astrological chart is showing us our full potential. It's showing us the energetic architecture of ourselves as it was written by the higher self. And that's just so important to recognize. And so, what we really want to do in life is to live our chart as fully as we can, and there are opportunities and there are gifts and talents written in your chart that you can fully claim once you learn more about your astrology and once you understand what those codes of the chart are saying to you. And there are challenges written in there too, and there are difficulties and there are woundings, and those are all placed there very intentionally and purposefully as well to build our character, to help us go through the initiations that will actually lift us up and up level us into embodying more and more of our higher self. So that's something to just to keep in mind as we're looking at all these big transits coming up, and to know that as we go through these big cycles like we're going to have, especially in the next 3 years, all of these transits are helping us. They're all assisting us. It is benevolent always. And so even when it feels very intense, usually the intensity just means it's really calling us up to our power in a big way. It's really calling us up to our sovereignty. It may be asking us to get outside of our comfort zone, but that is good. That is how we evolve. That is how we grow and how we become and embody more of our higher self. Um, so I have some slides that kind of say everything I just said. So I'm going to move through them to get to the 26,000 year cycles. But I just want to say, this is where astrology is so amazing. I'm just so excited that you put this event together, Mar, because as it's saying here, we can choose to live our life in alignment with our North Node, our midheaven, and our sun. We can choose a life that is breaking free from and healing the old patterns and challenges when we are in tune with our astrology and the big picture astrology as well. So it's just incredible. And astrology is such a gift because it allows us to do this. It allows us to have a language for this. It's just amazing. So when we read the ancient texts, this is Thoth here, by the way, in Abydos temple saying, here's what I've written for you here on this, in this beautiful chamber. We find in these texts from a wide multitude of ancient cultures and tablets and temple walls that the ancient people from every corner of the globe predicted now, this time that we're moving into the age of Aquarius, which I'll explain more fully in a minute, as a time of tremendous change and the revelation of great truths. And this is an image from the ceiling of Dendera Temple that is showing us the beginning time, Zep Tepi. And we can see here that this is the time, and you can see some things are right side up, some things are upside down, because that's how reality actually works. But you can see here that the sun is being birthed out of the sky. This is the goddess of the body Nut, and so, or the body of the goddess Nut. And so this is the sun being birthed from her womb at the beginning of time. And this is the serpent rising out of the primordial waters at the very, very beginning. And we see the star Sirius here representing Isis Hathor. We see the constellation Orion right here representing the god Osiris. And this was them in their original state of being. You will see Osiris is not yet mummified here. Interesting. And Isis Hathor is in her original sacred cow form, the Great Mother. And so this is how we began and how we stepped out on the path 12 to 13,000 years ago. And this is illustrated on the ceiling of this temple. And where we stand now, I will go to this slide. So that was during the age of Leo and moving into the age of Cancer. And we find ourselves now at the opposite side of these great cycles. So let me explain what this chart means here. First of all, this chart is showing the great 26,000 year cycles. Exactly 12,500 to 13,000 years ago was the end of the last ice age. And we are finding increasing geological evidence that at that time, halfway across the cycle ago, right, about 13,000, 12,500 years ago, there was a cataclysm. There was a great flood. Now, this great flood is written in the Sumerian texts, the Egyptian texts, many different texts around the world. And it was a time of great change. And when the people rose out of that cataclysmic time and began to rebuild their cultures, this is what we see illustrated as Zep Tepi on the Egyptian sealing of Dendera, and we see it illustrated in other cultures as well. So what is so interesting is that these cultures were observing these great cycles, and they noticed the patterns. They noticed the movement of the stars in the sky. And what this chart shows is how the sun changes where it is rising through the great ages. So in the age of Leo, here, from about 10,800 BC to 8650 BC, approximately, the sun on the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere was rising with the constellation of Leo, the lion. And the sun rises in one constellation for about 2,100 years. And then it's slowly, it's slowly moving this way on the wheel. And then it begins to rise in the sign of Cancer. And for another 2,100 years on the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, the sun will rise in the sign of Cancer. And you can see that that was from about 8650 BC to 6500 BC. And it continues on. And so we are here, as you can see, this chart was made in 2022, but essentially we are here. For the last 2,000 years or so, the sun has been rising in the constellation of Pisces on the spring equinox. And so we are at this moment right now where if you, and I've looked at this on the Stellarium, if you look and see where the sun is rising right now, it is literally right between the constellation of Pisces and the constellation of Aquarius on the spring equinox. So we can see that we are at this point here, exactly opposite the end of the last ice age and that time of the great cataclysm. So this was something that the ancient people noticed, that every 13,000 years or so was a time of great change. And on the ceiling of Dendera, it shows not only that beginning time here, but also it highlights this time that we are in now. And the Mayan calendar, as we know, highlights this time. 2012 was indicated as the ending of one great age and the beginning of a new one. And there's no mistake here. This is why we are feeling such intensity at this time. This is why we're all feeling like we need to change. We know the systems and structures need to break down that are no longer working. We know those of us who are here wanted to be here at this very exciting time to birth something new, to literally birth a new world forward. And we are fully supported by the cosmos in doing so. I'll show you one more view of the 26,000 year cycles, which is really interesting. This is showing the North Stars. So if we're looking up from the Northern Hemisphere straight up at night, right now, the central star that we'll see at the very apex of the sky is Polaris. But about 2,500 years ago, sorry, about 3,000 years ago, the North Star was Thuban. And this is documented in the ancient Egyptian texts from that time and in other texts around the world that the North Star was Thuban, which is part of the constellation Draco, the dragon. So over time, not only does it change where the sun is rising on the spring equinox, but also it changes which star we're looking at when we look up and we find the North Star in the sky. And so over these great cycles, you can see the different stars that have been North Star and will be North Star again over the great spans of time. So let's talk about now. As far as these next 3 years, bringing it back into what is going on for us at this particular time. As I mentioned, those of us who are alive right now, we chose to be here. And it is an intense time, and we have what it takes. That's why we're here. That's why we wanted to be here. We know how to bring the new world forth. We know how to remember our power, remember our sovereignty, remember the ancient arts and sciences like astrology and energy healing and all of the wonderful true technologies that we're coming back to now, which is just amazing. And so these next 3 years are absolutely a time of huge up-leveling and positive evolution. And I'll show you that in the transits here. We are really being called up into our power and sovereignty like never before. And the most important thing that we can do during this time, I would say, besides bringing forth our purpose, right? So whatever your purpose is, really embrace it, really step into that, because that is a key to something that the world needs. But also, we are here to hold the light. We are here to hold the highest frequency energies. And when we do that, we are going to see the most incredible magic opening up in our lives. I think it's really important to note that the intensity is the magic coming back into our world, the intensity that we're feeling. It's not only about the breakdown, it includes the breakdown, okay, but it also includes the breakthrough. It also includes our discovery of our power. It includes our discovery of the magic that we've been holding for so many lifetimes and we're ready to bring back into the light now. So we want to lean into all of that and our true gifts and powers and abilities in a really strong way. So I want to share with you some of the next level transits that are helping us with this in the next 3 years. And these next 3 years are just going to be so pivotal. So I'll start pretty close in here because we have this transit that's happening right in February to April 2025. I have a long list here just so that you could see, and you don't have to, not to memorize this, but maybe to come back and refer to this. There are many dates where the North Node is going to come into conjunctions with one planet after another after another. And this is not a mistake. This is a lot of activity on the North Node. Now, the North Node represents our future. It represents the direction that our souls are pulling us toward. And the North Node can feel outside of our comfort zone, right? So this is like destiny calling. This is like destiny ringing us up on the line and saying, now is the time. So we're being really, really pulled toward our highest evolution, our high frequency destiny. And all of these planets are adding their unique energy, their blueprint, their support to how we're creating that future. We have Mercury, we have Venus, we have the sun and moon, we have Saturn and Neptune. All of these are going to come into connection with the North Node during these 3 months. It's really powerful, and some of them multiple times, because we're going to have both Mercury and Venus move into Aries. So they move across the North Node. They both turn retrograde at 10 degrees of Aries and pretty close together travel all the way back into Pisces. And very close to the same time, both turn direct and travel forward into Aries again. So both of them are making 3 passes to the North Node in a short period of time. So this is just an incredible emphasis on our future. And I want to show you one date in this range in this chart. And this is an important date because this will be a day when, this will be April 22nd. This will be a day when the North Node here is at 26 degrees of Pisces, and both Saturn and Venus will be conjunct the North Node together at 26 degrees of Pisces. So, how beautiful is this? This is really about how do we build that new future? Saturn providing the structure, providing a solid foundation. How do we build what comes next with the feminine principle at the heart of it, with ease and grace and flow and beauty to guide us? This is incredibly beautiful. This is why I'll be in Egypt at that time, because this is a world-changing month for many reasons. And this is one of the kind of epicenter transits that are really driving the energies of this month. This is also the month that Mars and Pluto will have their final opposition. And then we will be moving out of that. We've been in the Mars-Pluto opposition energy since November, and that will be completing in April. So that's really big. So very important month here, April 2025. I want to pause, Mara. Is there anything you wanted to say or comment or ask? I've been talking for a little while here.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy with everything that you're sharing. And I didn't realize the North Node. I was feeling that is so magical that the Venus and Mercury retrogrades are having like the same um, part of the sky between Pisces and Aries. So, what I will highlight for everyone is to really pay attention where they have the ending of Pisces in their chart and the beginning of Aries, because that is going to be a highlight in this part, but also into 2026, that I'm sure that you will also share that. So, it's a point where we are dying, and it gets very close to what you were sharing about the waters, the primordial waters of Nut, and how we are emerging from there, like something is coming up from the waters of life and the chaos that can be Pisces sometimes. So I feel it's very important during this time to pay attention to the message is that a new being is being born through us, and allowing that to happen and not to try to control the process, because it's not so much about controlling it as just experience it and opening up. But the passes with the North Node are really beautiful. So thank you for bringing that.
Yeah, thank you so much for what you said there. This is so important. We really are. We can see in this chart that Saturn here at 26 Pisces is getting really close to Neptune. Neptune at this moment is already moved into Aries. And I'll talk about it more, in a few minutes, but they're going to have a conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries in early 2026, which is what you were mentioning there. And I feel that this build up in the late degrees of Pisces, especially because it's involving Saturn already, is preparing us for that really incredible rebirth moment that's going to happen, especially, by February 2026, or will be in progress at that time. And I love what you said, Mar, and I just would, this is something I can't emphasize enough about these years is it is a time to surrender. It is a time, and that doesn't mean giving up. There is this concept of accurately, or I would say, I didn't mean to say accurately, of leaning into the energies and embracing the energies of the unknown and the mystery at this time that is really, really key for us. And I know that can feel out of our comfort zone. I know that can feel a little scary because as humans, we want things to stay stable. We want things to stay, familiar. And there will be so many new energies coming in during these years. But they are, again, as I mentioned earlier, it is all benevolent. It is all benefic, to use an astrological term. It is meant to support us. It is meant to help us. And the more we can lean into that magic, the more we can lean into that mystery, the more we can be in flow with it and really allow the greatest gifts to come into our life, the new understandings, the new way of being that is going to allow that rebirth to happen in the most magical, beautiful way. So thank you for mentioning that. It is not a time to try to be in control.
Yes, yes. And with the South Node in Virgo as well is something that I keep seeing a lot. It's like there is so much emphasis in Pisces and Aries that they are not logical. They are not mental. They are very just like, what is life asking me to do? And I don't know why. I don't have a reasoning, but I know I need to go this way or that way. And Virgo, that is a lot more trying to control and put things into little boxes. That's what is not going to work for us. Like, to try is the time to break the box, basically, I think,
Mhm.
and to really allow the fullness of our power that you so beautifully talk about. Is like we've been there already. So it's just about remembering that power that is part of who we are.
Absolutely. Yes. And we will, with the South Node in Virgo, which is right here at 26 degrees of Virgo on this day, we definitely are being asked during this year and a half time frame when North Node is in Pisces, South Node is in Virgo, we're being asked to release all those ways that we're trying to hold on, what we're attached to, what we're trying to find like a way to put it in a spreadsheet and calculate it. That's just, it's not going to work right now. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I want to share with you the next headline transit, and this one is so amazing. And this is coming up a little later in, oh, I didn't have the date on the slide here. It's going to be, well, it's in Lionsgate. It's in August 2025. This is a Venus-Jupiter conjunction where they are also conjunct with the fixed star Sirius during the Lionsgate. And this is such a gorgeous transit. I can't wait to show you this in the chart. I want to note here that we also have all four outer planets in trines and sextiles to one another. And there's a grand air trine between Mars, Pluto, and Uranus. So check this out. This is just so amazing. Now, I need to give a little bit of context here about the star Sirius. So the fixed star Sirius is a star that was very, very important to the ancient Egyptians. And they would always be tracking, where is the star Sirius in the sky because she represents the great goddess Isis. This is the great mother. This is the mother of mystery and magic. And she was very, very important in their cosmology and in their daily lives. And so she goes invisible. She gets really close to the sun and she cannot be seen, this star, Sirius, for about 70 days from the middle of May until middle to end of July or beginning of August, depending on your latitude. When she becomes visible again, it's a very dramatic event. We see her heliacal rising, which means that on a day, usually in early August, but again, it depends on your latitude, you will, if you're looking toward the eastern sky at sunrise, you will see the star Sirius rise just before the sun at dawn. And this is the great goddess returning to the land. Now, what's really powerful about this is in ancient times in Egypt, at the exact same time as she would return, she would rise just before the sun. That was when the time of the drought ended. They always had a drought while she was gone, while she was missing and in the underworld, and they couldn't see her. And the crops would be dying, and they didn't know if they were going to make it. And then she returns to the sky at the exact same time as the flood waters return to the Nile, and the life force returns to the land. And so, for that reason, they venerated this star, they honored this star so deeply, and they knew that this was the great mother, the great goddess returning to them. Now, the star Sirius is located at 13 degrees of Cancer. And this is an amazing Venus and Jupiter conjunction, the two greater benefics coming together at 13 degrees of Cancer during the Lion's Gate. This is exact on August 11th and 12th, both of those 2 days, it will be exact. Now, what is incredible about this in visual astrology terms is if we look to the eastern sky to see the heliacal rising of Sirius before the sun this year at the Lion's Gate, we will see not only the star Sirius rising before the sun, but also Jupiter and Venus in conjunction with her. Now, that is almost like a Star of Bethlehem kind of alignment. Those are the three brightest lights in our sky other than the sun and moon, because Jupiter and Venus are the brightest planets and Sirius is the brightest star. So how fascinating is that? So this is major. This is really something interesting. This is something very mythological and cosmological happening that we get to live and we get to observe. I really invite everybody to look and see what do you have near 13 degrees of Cancer in your chart, or 13 degrees of the water signs. This would be a very, very fortuitous transit for you if you have something there. And this day is not only is that happening, also we have Mercury turning direct. Mercury turns direct at 4 degrees of Leo on this day. And we have a beautiful configuration that I'm going to talk a little more about these outer planets, but I just want to point it out in this chart. We have Uranus in Gemini, trine to Pluto in Aquarius, and both of them are sextile to Saturn and Neptune, which are very close to conjunct, but not quite exactly conjunct here in this chart in August. This is a harmonious outer planet lineup. You'll notice this is the four outermost planets. We have Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, all in trines and sextiles to one another. And on this day, they are being accentuated by Mars here at 2 degrees of Libra. So with Mars here, we have a grand air trine between Mars, Uranus, and Pluto. And Mars is also here opposing and interacting with Saturn and Neptune conjunct. So this is really big energy on this day. What's so beautiful about all of this is that, the grand air trine is going to really help us um, connect with technologies that are harmonious for us, that are harmonious for the earth. And I think this is a big shift we're going to be seeing in the next few years. We have so many types of technology that are harmful, that are really, really harmful. Um, and we have a really big opportunity with Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini. This is such a technology focus. We have a really big opportunity right now, and in these coming years to shift our understanding of what technology is, to shift our understanding to the fact that the technology that we hold in our bodies, life itself, is actually the highest technology, right? And that same technology is held by the earth, it's held by the trees, the plants, the animals around us. And in every cell of our bodies, we hold this highest technology of life. This is a technology that's so incredible that scientists don't fully understand it. They're trying, they've been studying it for millennia, but don't fully understand it yet. This is a gift from the creator, a gift from the universe, from God, goddess, that we get to enjoy, that we get to celebrate every day. And we are now rediscovering so many ancient technologies, astrology being one of those. Alchemy is another part of that, closely related to astrology that I talk about a lot. Um, Energy healing, sound healing, the power of visiting the ancient sacred sites and how that changes us and harmonizes us. All of this, these kinds of ancient technologies, I believe, are going to be more and more recognized as actually our technologies of the future. And I think that some of the things we're seeing, um, you know, AI can be good and bad, right? There's positive use for that. There's a really negative use for that. I think there are some things that will be recognized as false technologies in our world. And we have an opportunity here with Pluto trine Uranus to really move away from those harmful and false technologies and move into technologies that support life. The fact that they're trine is important. If they were square, this would be much more difficult. If they were square, this would be maybe, much more likely a rise of more false technologies. But I'm really, I feel very heartened. I would say I feel uplifted by these configurations of the trines, like this grand air trine right here, and the sextiles to Neptune and Saturn. So all of, I'll stop there for now. All of this is happening on August 11th. So this is a really big day. I would invite everybody to take some retreat time on August 10th, 11th, or 12th if you can. Connect in with this beautiful Jupiter, Venus, and Sirius conjunction. Watch the sunrise if you can and see these brightest lights in our sky just before the sun comes up. Um, Make space to receive the transmissions that will be coming through at this time. It's going to be such a powerful day.
Yeah. And I would love to share like that Mars feels so important in that chart because it's in Libra. It's like finding the balance between earth and sky, between the masculine and the feminine, between technology and nature. It's like Libra is this mad truth of finding balance between everything that we don't need to choose that much. And that is the ruler of Neptune, Saturn, almost conjunct in Aries. So it is a time to act as well. Think that Mars, as soon as like Neptune and Saturn move into Aries and then they go back, but it's like wherever we are envisioning wherever we are focusing our energy, that is what we are going to see into the world. So the more people like this responsibility in a way that is such a Saturnian energy of, it's not just expecting that things are good. It's also like doing your part of what is it yours. For some of us, like Jocelyn and myself, we are called to do more public and like speaking and doing more like leading in this kind of way. But for some other people, maybe it's just singing to the river. But wherever you are called to do, and that is what is the chart is showing us always, it is a year to take action. So I feel like in this, especially when things move into Aries, like when they are in Pisces, is more into dreaming and connecting and surrendering. But that's like flow with the go. There's a sentence that Rick Levine said, an astrologer who has a lot of Aries, and he's like, I love it. It's like flow with the go. It's not just going with the flow. It's like you also need to go. You also need to take action. So if we do want balance in the world, is an opportunity for each one of us to really act in our personal lives in that direction. So I love it so much.
Yeah, thank you for adding that, Mar. I completely agree. I completely agree. And this year has so many important Mars transits in it, 2025. We started the year with Mars opposite Pluto and with Mars retrograde. And continuing through the year, Mars has these like key pivotal moments like this one right here where he's really helping us. And I do think that'll be interesting where it's a year that maybe if if you're listening and you felt like you couldn't take action in the recent years that we've had, if you felt stuck and stalled, as Mara mentioned, as Saturn and Neptune move into Aries, that's ruled by Mars, and then as Mars has these really key transits, you're going to get the energy you need, the courage, the boldness, the fire within, the passion around what you know you need to do to take action. So yeah, I love it. So let me share our next headline transit. Actually, that should say 3. But anyway, here's our next one. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction. And we've been mentioning this already. This will be exact at 0 degrees of Aries on February 20th, 2026. Now, the Saturn-Neptune conjunctions happen every 37 years approximately. And they really signal changes in our collective belief systems, changes in leadership in the world. And I kind of sum that up by saying a change in world order, But it's like every time this conjunction happens, we take a quantum leap. And I've put a few previous dates of Saturn Neptune conjunctions, and you can see on these dates there were like just really major things going on in the world. So, changes in collective belief systems, changes in nations and society, changes in leadership, changes in what is valued and what is set as a priority, which is I think something we want to really focus on, what is valued and what is set as a priority in our world, because we can see in so many ways the challenges in our world are because we've had the wrong things, like our leaders have had the wrong things in their priority list. And this is a chance to rewrite that, to recalibrate that, especially because this transit is happening at 0 degrees of Aries. That is the very first degree of the entire zodiac. So if we've ever seen just a massive new start, new birth, new beginning moment, this is it. And I'll mention Rick Levine again, who you just mentioned, Mar. I heard him recently say he went way back in the ephemeris, and he could not find another time ever in history that a Saturn-Neptune conjunction has happened at exactly 0 degrees of Aries. There were some at 2 and 3 degrees, like, thousands and thousands of years ago, but he couldn't find one at 0. So this is a major moment that perhaps has never even happened in human like times before. um, this is also going to be about technological leaps and societal leaps. And I just really feel with this the energy of a quantum leap that we can make here. Um, so I I've said most of this, and I think maybe I'll give this slideshow as a free gift or something. We could talk about that more, what might be possible there, because I think it would be great for people to have the slides to reference with all the details.
Mhm.
But here's the chart. So we have Neptune and Saturn right here, both at 0 degrees and 45 minutes of Aries at this really key moment. Um, this is Pisces season. So the sun has just moved into Pisces, and we can see we have again a really strong lineup of energy in Pisces supporting us at this time. We have the sun, this is Pallas Athena, the North Node still in Pisces, as it will be until July of 2026. And then look at this, we've got Venus and Mercury together again, hanging out together just as they were at this time in 2025. So this is such a beautiful chart. We are just so supported in making this quantum leap. Um, the energies of both Saturn and Neptune are very opposite to one another. And this is something we want to keep in mind. Saturn is structure and reality and, kind of like our 3D lives. And Neptune is, more of the energy of Pisces. He's our dreams, our visions, our imaginations, all the realms beyond. And when those two come together, it just so strongly indicates it's like a restructuring of what we even understand reality to be. And that's why the belief systems shift at these times. That's why um, the societal changes occur, because it marks a major pivot moment on our evolution as we are able to step into a new reality. Again, happening at 0 Aries, it's a complete new birth, a complete new beginning. Is there anything else you wanted to say about that transit, Mar? This is just such a big one. It's almost like I'm at a loss for words because it's so momentous.
And it happens a lot also when Neptune and Pisces are in the conversation, right? It's so hard to grasp it with words. What I keep seeing is the image that you put at the beginning, the birth of the sun from the waters. It's like that is exactly that happened 13,000 years ago. And now we have that reset point of going back to those primordial waters to be reborn in every area. And something that it keeps coming back to me a lot, especially like doing the summit, is this idea of neuroplasticity that is being more and more researched, that we truly can change our brain. And like changing the brain is like our whole life perception and everything changes from that, because the brain, of course, the heart and the womb as well, but that like gifts that we don't even know we have, they can bring that up into surface. So there is so much ability to really have a rebirth in every sense, not like a little one. It's like a different completely identity coming into reality. And in a global level, that Saturn is also the way we create structures. So how can we create the structures that are much more organic, so they allow life to happen? Like Saturn by itself doesn't have to be rigid. I think it's the patriarchal um, experience that we have of Saturn, but Saturn itself is just the ability to define things and to bring um, ideas into matter, to bring visions into reality. Like, is the planet that can help us the most, not in a nice way sometimes, but he help us. Like it does.
Always trying to help us. Yes.
Yes, it does help a lot to define, to create things. So people who have a strong Saturn, they are really able to create a lot. And it's been because they have experience obstacles sometimes, and they need to own that authority. So I think like there is this opportunity of bringing into form really big dreams that
Yeah.
for all of us, like, and it's very important that it's Aries, so it's a very individual process at the same time. It's like for each person is going to look a different thing, and the more people that they do their Aries, the more we will see the dreams into reality. So I'm super excited about it.
Yeah. And it's interesting to think about the Aries part here. Aries is so much about really standing in your own sovereignty, your own power, taking the actions you need to take um, within yourself, not based on what anybody else says, just within your own self, your own inner knowing. And I think all of the Mars energy this year, 2025, is getting us ready to fully embrace that Aries, just major new beginning in Aries early next year. I love and agree with everything you said, Mar. Thank you for those reflections.
I mean, spirituality, I think, is very important to bring the masculine as well, because the masculine has been a little bit castrated, is the word that is coming to me. It's like if you are spiritual, you just flow and you have to be like surrender. There is, of course, a part of surrendering, but it's like surrendering into action. Like we are alive, so we are always making decisions since we wake up until we go to bed. Like it's not possible to be just like flowing with the waters. Like we are always taking action and we are always focusing on something. So I feel that there is this masculine that is coming in a much more spiritual, like a spiritual warrior kind of energy that is very important. And that it comes from this, it comes also from the Venus cycle that you mentioned, that is starting in Aries Pisces. It has that combination. So it's like, how can we bring together these energies? And in Aries, the constellation that we have is the fish at the moment. So it's like Aries is taking action from the connection with the waters, is taking action from the connection with life itself. So I think also for men, it's going to be very interesting, these transits to really show up as the masculine that they embody as well. Like we have both of us both energies, but for them is really a time to show up as spiritual beings as well.
Yeah, that's so important about the masculine. In our world, we have such a distorted view of I would say, distorted models of what the masculine is supposed to be, in our political leaders and, the heads of corporations and the way that everything is depicted in our world, what we're seeing en masse is not the sacred masculine. And so this is like all the Mars activity in 2025, and then this incredible transit in Aries in 2026. It's like calling us back to that true sacred masculine. Um, I believe that the original perception of the planet Mars in far ancient times was truly the sacred masculine, the one who like holds the womb in the light, like is here to help the feminine bring the vision through and hold and then build that vision. Um, and that planet Mars has been really distorted over time. That Mars is considered a malefic. That just doesn't resonate for me.
No, it
Mars is not
doesn't.
a malefic. He's the sacred masculine. He is a warrior for truth and light, and so I think there's something here of returning to that true version of the masculine. Like you said, that's within all of us. And also, the men in our world getting like this uplift of power to really embody that, in whatever way is right for them. So yeah, phew, that feels strong.
And reframing Saturn as well, I think is very important in that sense, because I always say it's very fascinating that the two malefics traditionally, they are the ones that help us make things happen. Like
Yeah,
they
right.
are the power to take action, to make things happen, to create the structures, to focus into what we want, to have a desire and go for it. So there is a whole narrative that is putting that into judgment, and that is our power to make changes. So it's very important also with Saturn and Mars to really see their healthy side, because both of them are really important in those times of change. Because if not, we are dead, right? Like we are taking action every day. The day we don't take action anymore is we are just not alive. So it's
Yeah,
important to own our power, our desires that they are coming from the stars, and just know that there is an action that only you can take, and there is an action that only me. Like is each person has to listen to their own Mars to go for what they want.
absolutely. Yeah, that's so important to know about Saturn. You know, everybody knows that Saturn brings frustrations and slowdowns. And the thing is, he's not just trying to give us a hard time. He's trying to help us get onto the higher path. He's like, he sees us going down this path. It's not our highest expression, or it's not where we're meant to go. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna just block that off, and then you'll go this way. But we don't get it, and we fight it. You know, it's so interesting, our relationship with Saturn. But he wants the highest for us. He wants us to do our good work. He wants us to build things and bring our legacy. And yeah, he's just trying to help us get there. It's
That's
so interesting. Okay, so I want to do a time check. Okay, we're at right around an hour. Is it okay if we keep going for
It's
a
up
few
to you.
more?
So, yeah, up to you. So, if you have anything else that you would like to share with the transits,
Yeah, I have a little bit more. Would it be okay if we go till 20 past the hour?
yes, is what I said is if it's
Yeah.
okay with
Okay.
you, we are fine. Like we, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So another transit, and I mentioned this in the August chart that I showed, is Pluto in Aquarius trine Uranus in Gemini. Now, this is really big. This is a transit that's going to repeat at different degrees of Aquarius and Gemini between 2025 to 2028. It actually was already starting at the end of 2024 with Pluto in Capricorn and Uranus in Taurus at the very final degrees of those earth signs, which is interesting. But we're going to see it really strongly in these air signs coming up in the years ahead. And I have the dates here that there will be exact trines. It will be in July 2026, November 2026, and June 2027. But they will be in a lot of, in much more expanded timeframes than just those dates. They will be very close to an exact trine. So we want to keep in mind that this is just a general energy that we're going to be experiencing. It's going to become part of our flow. It's going to become part of what we're accustomed to, kind of swimming in from 2025 to 2028. And for anyone who has planets between 1 to 8 degrees of Libra, this is amazing for you, because then that planet or points that you have at 1 to 8 degrees of Libra, it will create a grand air trine with your planet or point and Pluto and Uranus. And that's really beautiful. That's really powerful. So, when we're looking at Aquarius and Gemini, this is like lightning fast technological progress. And we're already seeing that in so many ways in our world. If you can believe it, it's going to speed up even more. And I do think there's going to be something that happens here, a revolution around our perception of what technology we want. And it's related to what I was saying earlier, that we're going to come back into this realization that there's some kinds of technology that are false and that are harmful. And there's gonna be a rising up and saying enough is enough. It's too much. We don't need that. And I love to think of Gemini as like the Library of Alexandria, right? Like all the deepest knowledge, the mysteries, all of these books that were compiled across so many millennia. It's such a beautiful, connection with the Gemini energy and curiosity and studying and, like wanting to learn so much. And so there is something happening here with this Pluto and Aquarius trine Uranus and Gemini about bringing back the ancient wisdom. Pluto represents the mystery realms. Pluto represents the knowledge that we held, connected to the god Osiris in the ancient Egyptian, like these mysteries of life and death, and why are we here? And why did the people build those temples and pyramids? There's going to be this continued resurgence of energy around the ancient mysteries, the ancient wisdom, the ancient knowledge, and recognizing that there was true technology in what the ancient people knew and in what so many of the indigenous people still alive today are holding in their cosmologies and their traditions. So we're going to be returning to that, and so I really see this over the next several years, like enough is enough of the false technology coming back to the truth. And the truth is going to be very informed by our ancient ancestors and what they knew and what their technologies were. This is also we're going to see massive social change from this trine as well. And then it's like the Saturn Neptune conjunction heightens that too. Reform and revolution. I just feel so much here of like on all different levels, so many different levels, people saying enough is enough. This must change. We're choosing something new. We're choosing something different. And because it's a trine, it's going to help us make those positive changes. But I think we'll feel at times like things are moving too fast, like how do we even keep up with the pace? We're already feeling that, right? Um, and things might feel kind of like otherworldly or beyond our grasp. So this is part of the trust and surrender moment. This is part of like really have faith that this is all supporting us. This is getting us to where we need to be. This is helping us become our highest evolved selves and our highest collective. So very, very powerful. Um, so let's see. This is, I have a few different charts here. So this is a really important day where we have Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and Jupiter all at 4 degrees of the new signs they've just moved into. So this is really fascinating. So Jupiter at this moment has, and this is July 18th, 2026. So Jupiter has just moved into Leo at this time. We have Uranus now fully in Gemini at 4 degrees of Gemini. We have Neptune at 4 degrees of Aries, and we have Pluto at 4 degrees of Aquarius. You can just see that this is going to be, it's such a powerful day. We do have, this is a Jupiter-Pluto opposition. And other than that opposition, then these planets are all in trines and sextiles to one another. We've got the Pluto-Uranus trine, we've got a Neptune-Jupiter trine, so it's a lot of really positive energy. And this is July 2026. So this is, several months after the Neptune-Saturn conjunction in Aries here. This is moving forward from that moment. And I just feel there's so much energy with these outer planets working together, helping us build out that new reality, with Jupiter involved here, it's like expansion, optimism, really bringing in a huge positive energy of like good fortune and blessings to this combination. Here's another chart with Pluto trine Uranus. This one has Uranus at 3 degrees of Gemini, Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius. And we have here Mars at 1 degree of Virgo. So Mars is moving into a square, moving into an exact square with Uranus. And that could be more challenging, Mars square Uranus, that can be, unexpected events, or more challenging events. So it's like we do need to be aware that there will be these high frequency moments and there will be more challenging and catalyzing moments. And we want to really work on this ability to hold the calm center within ourselves, because then we influence the whole collective. When we hold the highest frequency, we hold the light. I think that's like the very most important skill that any of us could be developing at this time, is really holding that calm center. And we all have the ability to do that. It's part of our original technology. And here's another example of a Uranus-Pluto trine. And this is a little later. This is June 15th, 2027. So jumping even more ahead here. And they're still having these trines, right? So that's pretty amazing. So we have here Uranus at 6 degrees of Gemini, conjunct Venus. That's a powerful day. The exact conjunction would have been a couple days earlier between Uranus and Venus, but still quite in the zone there. And then Pluto at 6 degrees of Aquarius. Um, and then we have a Jupiter-Saturn trine happening on this day too, with Saturn at 25 Aries. And we have Jupiter, why am I not, there he is at 22, 22 Leo. So this is another powerful day. You know, all of these trines are such incredible support for us.
And
One,
it's sextiling Neptune as well. So it's really like almost exact
yes,
sextile
at
Neptune too.
6 degrees as well. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, so these alignments, you know, there's something really special happening with all the outer planets where we have Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto all moving into new signs within basically a 1 to 1.5 year period, late 2024 to early 2026. And that's something that, as I was listening to Rick Levine, he said he looked that up in the ephemeris, and that hasn't happened for 10,000 years. That all four outer planets move into new signs within essentially 1 year of one another. So that's another incredible portal that we're in. And then that's why they're all in these very specific and, you know, clear and special relationships with one another, like what we see here, right? All of those, the three outermost planets being at 6 degrees of their signs, all trine and sextile to one another. Um, it's really something. Like this is where I feel that the astrology that we're going to see in these years is just connecting into those vast 26,000 year cycles. Because then it would mean that, you know, the last time that this happened was approximately the opposite time on the precessional wheel, you know. So really, really fascinating. We are just receiving so much support here for the new that we're building, the radical new world that we're building together, as I like to say. Um, Okay, so I'll pause there for now. I do have a few more slides, and I think I'll give the slides as a free gift. So I'll send you that info because I have a little bit about eclipses and that kind of thing. But I don't want to go too long here, and it'll be you know, a whole lot more to get into if we go there. So I will pause at that point, and I think we can see that we are moving into such a special and a powerful time in these years.
Totally. And thank you so much for bringing all these dates because it really helps to bring down to the specific and like how can we be part of the changes. And I also love from the beginning that you were emphasizing that astrology is in order to unleash our power and to really empowering us. It's not, we are not puppets of the cosmos. So that part is very important. And it's also the role of the priestess to be in connection with the earth, with the sky, and in Egypt was part of the life, right? Like the priestesses were astrologers as well. So I think it's a very important time as well to connect with our inner oracle and to know that we do have the answers and we have the option to expand of our consciousness. And for that, you have a free gift that is bringing us to Egypt. So you started with Egypt and we can finish with that because it's like, it's such an important sacred land that is calling to so many people to remember who we truly are. So I would love you to talk about this gift and also the journey that you are organizing in April in such an important time. So if anybody is interested, they can also go there.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that too. Yes, and Egypt is just so incredible as related to astrology and astronomy because they very specifically aligned every single temple and every single pyramid to specific stars and constellations to draw down that energy of the great above, and also with specific ley lines and underground water currents below to draw up that energy of the earth. And then when we walk through the temples, we are receiving that incredible transmission and all the codes from the great above and the great below. And that's why it's so life-changing and powerful and uplifting to go there. So, well, that's one of the many reasons. But yes, my free gift is called Awaken Your Connection with Ancient Egypt. Find Your Power in the Magic of Long Ago. And it's a really beautiful video workshop and shamanic journey. And you will meet the wonderful goddess Ma'at, who upholds natural order and cosmic law, as well as the Neter or the god Osiris. And he helps us to understand the mysteries of life and death and rebirth. And so then at the end of the workshop, there's a beautiful shamanic journey to go back in time and see your past life or past lives in Egypt and learn about the power that you held at that time and bring it forward to your life today. So I hope you all will enjoy that. And I'll also add to the slides from here and offer that as another free gift. So feel free to take both. It's all good. And yeah, I'm leading a tour in April. As I mentioned, I wanted to be there at that specific time when all those planets are coming into conjunction with the North Node. We'll be in the Great Pyramid on April 23rd, which is the day after that. And it will still be in effect, the Saturn, Venus, and North Node conjunction. So it's going to be amazing. That journey will be from April 15th to the 25th. And it's called the Mysteries of the Great Goddess Pilgrimage. And there will also be a tour of mystical Cairo that is the 5 days before that starts. So there's a lot. You can come to my website, wearesacredplanet.com, and just click on Egypt 2025, and you'll see the details and all the options there. So yeah, very exciting things coming up.
Yeah, and I think the best for like knowing all the magic that you bring into the world is to get the free gift. So then they are on your list, and then you will always tell them like what is going on because Jocelyn, as I mentioned at the beginning, is also a mentor for like summits like this. So if anybody feels that call is life changing totally, and it really brings you to that leadership role that is so needed. And sometimes we feel there is so much already done, but we need each person bringing their magic into the world. So it's like it's never enough. Each person is going to be tapping into something different depending on what they need. So it's like it doesn't matter there is a lot done. We can still bring more because there are more and more people waking up. So it's
Exactly.
never enough. Like, and nobody can do it in the way that a specific person is doing it. So I feel like for me, every time I have created a summit is like a offering to the collective, is energetically shifting energies just by doing it. So it's such a transformational experience for the person who hosted, but it's also for everyone who is attending.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Mar. It's so true. It's so true. And there are just, I mean, with the North Node moving into Pisces, there are just going to be massive numbers of people awakening that, had never even considered spirituality or ancient wisdom or whatever it might be that they're called to. And it's going to be happening. And then there's those of us who are here to support them. So if you're feeling that call in whatever way is right for you, go for it because you are needed. It is an all hands on deck kind of time on the earth right now. And yeah, listen to your heart and take that step forward, and you'll be so glad that you did.
Perfect. So thank you so much for all the wisdom that you shared. And is there anything else that you would like to say before we conclude?
Well, I will just say in closing, coming back to one of the things that we said earlier, really trust the journey that you're on right now. Trust the journey of the collective right now. We will see challenging things happening alongside the most magical and breakthrough and revelatory moments, so really allow yourself to hold all of it. This is where the goddess Ma'at is so powerful because she like holds things in balance. She's very much like Libra.
Mm.
She holds balance and harmony. She holds that balance of natural order and cosmic law. And so the more that we can do that and the more that we can lean into the unknown and really trust what's coming next, the more peace we will feel in our hearts, the more we'll be able to bring each our light, our purpose, our voice, or however it's meant to be, like you said, singing to the river, or um, being a parent or a grandparent that's uplifting the next generations. Like we'll each be called in a different way, but tune into what that is for you. Bring your light, and it's going to be a magical time, and it's going to be so powerful. So
Yeah, thank you so much. And also, just because it's a part of what you were saying, that if we have been feeling stuck and stagnant in these years, is done. Like this upcoming year, like 2025, is a different story. So it's time to move, it's time to do things, it's time for things to flow. And so is such an inspiration, your talk. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And I hope you enjoy the whole summit. This will be in the first day. So then you have a lot of wisdom coming up the next following days. So thank you for tuning in. And thank you, Jocelyn, for your whole presence.
thank you, Mar. Thank you for creating all of this. It's so wonderful, and lots of love to everybody out there.